challenge. So if you do not fear God, you will end up misappropriating this money and taking it to be your own, yet it is just what you're using to do the work that you're doing.
So ego is very dangerous to me, and we should avoid the extremes.
This program exists to equip, challenge, and empower men to expand their family leadership capacity for national transformation. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're very welcome to the Inspired Family Leader Program with Samuel A. Bakutana, your host, a certified executive coach, an award-winning leadership consultant, a global speaker, facilitator, and author. The CEO of Inspired Leaders International, which is an international leadership development firm that empowers leaders to transform nations, and your provincial father's union president. Just a few months ago, not very few, on the 15th of July 2023, we had somebody who came here and talked about the power of a man's values. Some months later, on the 7th of December 2024, he came back and he spoke about straight talk about the proposed marriage bill 2024. Today, he is back in the studio to talk about a man's involvement in his children's education. I welcome you to episode 128 of the Inspired Family Leader Program. And in the studio with me is none other than Mr. John Tereraho, a senior educationist, to be talking with us about a man's involvement in the education of his children. John, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers and listeners, and thank you, Sam, for your kind introduction.
My pleasure. How have you been, John?
I'm very well. I am very well.
Wait, John.
And I thank
John,
God.
how have you been?
I have been very fine.
No, I mean, truly, how are you?
I'm well.
Okay.
I'm well. I am well. Yes. I do not have any reasons to complain. God is faithful. We have come a long way. I have come a long way as a person.
Yeah.
We have come a long way as a family. We have come a long way as people. And we can only say thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you, Lord.
Indeed. Go right ahead, look into that camera and introduce yourself a little bit more. Let people know a little more about you.
My name is John Tereraho, and my brother Sam has already introduced me. And I am a dad. Maybe I should have started with I'm a man. I am a man. I'm a biological man. And I'm a man biologically, socially, physiologically, and in every way.
Anatomically.
And anatomically.
As at birth.
And I have always struggled to make sure I am a man. Because a man, in my context, in my Chifumbira Kinyarwanda context, is not necessarily a physiological person.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean somebody who puts on trousers and somebody who has a beard. No. A man actually goes as far as the functioning of that person.
So whereas every man is a male, not every male is a man.
Exactly.
A male is by chance, but a man is by choice.
A man is by choice. So I believe I am a man.
Go right ahead, please.
And I am a father of 4 biological children, and I'm blessed with many other children. And they are all adults. 3 of them have graduated. And the last born is at UCU. He's doing civil engineering. I am a teacher by training. And I have worked in all my life in education.
In education.
I have that experience, classroom experience.
Yeah.
I have school experience. I have education management experience.
Yeah.
And today,
I got to know you more than 25 years ago,
Yes.
and by that time you were a district education
yes,
officer.
And today, I am a senior technical advisor for Save the Children Uganda. I have worked as a teacher. I have worked as as a district inspector of schools. I have worked as a district education officer. But above all, I have been on a journey of parenting and supporting children to learn, but also trying to see how my own children can learn.
Okay.
Other than that, I am privileged to be the provincial head of Leyte. By that status, I chair the House of Leyte in the Provincial Assembly, and I'm also the head of Leyte for the Diocese of Mabura.
All right.
I am a born-again Christian, and my God is first. I'm a small man who serves a big God.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
That makes two of us. So we are talking about a man's involvement in his children's education. And already what you have shared tells us that you are the right person to be talking about this, not only by virtue of being a man, a father with children, but also because you have been heavily involved in the education world and you have educated your own children. So I want us to begin from that. Quite a good number of men are said to not be involved in the education of their children. What do you think causes that?
Let's begin from the fact that there are very many men
Yes.
who have done so well, and they have struggled, and they have done what is humanly possible for them to support their children to go through education.
Oh, yes.
And let's also appreciate that there are a number of men, quite many, who are struggling to support education of their children. Not because of reasons that come, not because of reasons of their own choice, not because of omissions, deliberate omissions, but because of the environment in which we are.
The situation they find
The
themselves
situation in which they find themselves. They are struggling. And they are struggling because of many things. The social constructions. Some are actually struggling because they don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
Some are struggling because they have found themselves in an environment which dictates certain things. Some are struggling because of the economic hardships. They wake up very early in the morning, they leave home at 6, they come back home very late. Sometimes they even don't find children when children are still awake, and here we are.
They are looking for the lost coin.
They are looking for the lost coin, and they are chasing it, and they are chasing it, and they forget to chase the most important thing. If we can begin from the first things, we begin from the first principles. It's really very important that every man should work hard. But what are the reasons for any man to work hard? What are those reasons that should make every man to work very hard, to wake up very early, to wake up very early, to work very hard the whole day, and even return home late? I want to believe that one of the reasons should be to ensure that they actually change the situation around them.
Yeah.
And changing the situation around them means that they will do a lot about the situation they have found. And then, because they do not want the children they have brought to this world to face the kind of situation they have, they want to live their homes better. They want to live their families better. I think that is the aspiration of every man. I wish
probably most men.
Most men. I wish I could live this. I wish I could do better than my dad.
Yes.
I wish I could move a step further than my dad. I wish my family would take the next level. I would, and so that's why most men wake up so early. That's why most men save money. That's why they invest. That's one reason. These children, we don't become dads unless the children come by. So the children make us fathers.
Yeah.
So when the children come, these beautiful mothers, our wives, become mothers, and then we also become dads. And so once we have become dads, we have now a responsibility. A responsibility which now takes us to the next level. We are not looking at each other,
Yes.
well, husband and wife. We have a third person around,
The child.
a child. And so we have to think, whatever we are thinking must also bear in mind. I have, of course, heard people talk about the children will go and you'll stay alone. Yes, I hear that. But where will they go? Have you actually prepared them to go? What will they be? What will they do?
How will they end in their life?
How will they
what will
end
be
in
their
their life?
destiny?
What is going to be their destiny? So it's very important that we should be talking about this.
So could that be therefore the context within which education comes in, that you educate them to prepare them for a specific future, a certain destiny, where we are now bringing in the topic of the man's involvement in that journey? Because what we are talking about and what I'm asking now is what causes some men not to get involved in the education of their children.
I really want to be very kind to men. I want to be very kind to men. I know there are some men who are not involved, but I also know, quite honestly, that there are people out there who are working very hard. They are even thinking about their children going to school, but they are not involved. Somehow, they have not done what they are supposed to be doing, right? They are doing things because, and they think it is okay. I have a home. I have built a house for my family.
Yeah.
I bring food home. The children have. I pay fees. The teachers are there. I am busy. I am tired. I have to watch the TV. I have, and by the end of the day, you have not had an opportunity to speak to these important people that you brought forth into this world. So they are really working hard, and they are not finding time to do what is very important.
So what I'm hearing so far, I'm hearing three things, because I want us to be as sharply focused on that question as possible. Whereas, John, there are some men, and there are so many, and I am one of them, I know you are one of them, who are busy getting involved in the education of their children. Let us face the facts. There are so many other men that are not involved in the education of their children.
I agree.
And they are the one, whereas we are thanking the other ones, we are now focused on these ones that are not getting involved. The question is, why are they not? And I'm hearing three reasons so far. One, you've talked about financial hardships. Some of them are struggling economically, so they don't go to school to pay fees and so on and so forth. Secondly, you've talked about those that are too busy. They are very busy making ends meet, looking for the lost coin, so they are not putting aside time to go and be involved in the education of their children. And number three, you've talked about those who are too tired to get involved. Could there be any other reason why some men don't get involved in the education journey of their children?
The big one is that they don't appreciate the fact that they have a leadership role.
Not appreciating their leadership role.
Yes, because we need to look at a man as a leader.
Yes.
So when we look at a man as a leader in the family, we are looking at somebody who really guides the vision. If you want, let's make this person the vision bearer.
Yes.
And once they have the vision, then they want to show that vision. They want to guide the evolution of that vision.
Take the family to that vision.
They want to take the family to that vision. They are also, and they are these. It is actually the responsibility of this man to ensure that his family has a vision, and the vision, comes out because of the mission and then the values, the family values. So many of our dear friends, our colleagues, our fellow men, do not recognize that it is the responsibility of a man to provide leadership, and so they have abdicated. Or even, maybe there are those that have abdicated.
Yes.
But there are even those who have no idea what to do.
Absolutely.
And the Bible says, my people have perished because of lack of
knowledge.
We are
Isaiah
here.
chapter 4 verse 6.
Exactly, that's Isaiah chapter 4 verse 6. And the reason why we should be coming here is to tell people that, guys, look here. God gave us that responsibility of being the chief priests for our families. God gave us the responsibility, and it began at that time when God told Adam to name. To name everything.
creatures.
To name all creatures, including his wife.
Yeah.
He's the one who said, you shall become woman because you have come from man. So man, God gave man that responsibility of taking leadership. And a leader is assumed to know the way, and will go the way, and will show the way.
As John C. Maxwell says.
Yes. And you know, it's very sad that you can be a chief executive like Sam.
Yes.
You can be an education advisor, a senior technical education advisor, advising a whole organization, an international organization, and you're not able to advise your own family.
Of course.
You are a chief executive of an organization, and you can, and you are there trying to promote values in that organization.
But you have no
But
values
you have
in your
no
own
values
home.
in your own home. You talk about integrity at work, you don't discuss integrity on the table, on the family table.
Because on the family table,
Because-
there are people who know you well, so you can't talk of integrity. They know you. You can talk about integrity where there are people that don't know you.
You know,
Unfortunately.
You know, and so those values originate. They have to come from somewhere.
Okay.
They have to be shared, and they have to be grown. They have to be nurtured somehow.
Yeah.
When it is time for people to get to the table, and you know, we are going to have a meal, but we cannot have a meal without a prayer. You know, children will know that it's time for prayer.
Yeah, somewhere I heard somebody say in their home when they eat without praying that they have called it stealing food, that you've
They are-
stolen food.
Exactly.
You've stolen food. So you have to make sure you pray to acknowledge that this food came from somewhere. God has provided it. If you just eat, you are stealing.
So my understanding of a leader also is that a leader actually teaches. A leader, you know, you teach. A leader is a teacher. And teaching means that you are walking a journey with those near you.
Okay.
You are walking a journey with those near you. You are holding on. You are pulling out their strength. You are identifying their strength and trying to promote their strength. You are trying to address the areas of growth. If there is an area that needs nurturing, that needs supporting, you are supporting those areas. You are not really pointing out at the weaknesses. You know, you are trying to say, look, this is an area of growth.
Okay.
And so the teacher in the home, maybe the headmaster. Now let me actually look at the headmaster in the home. I really expect that the man should take that role of the headmaster. And you know, the headmaster is supposed to be inspiring the teachers, inspiring the children, is supposed to be motivating them, is supposed to be correcting them. I mean, I came with these daughters of mine as we drove from Gayaza. I can't imagine how many things we shared. So many things, ranging from who they should be, what they should do, what they should think about their future. And you know, it has been an interesting and rewarding evening as I drove with the girls.
Okay. Could there be some men who are not involved in the educational journeys of their children simply because of poor upbringing, the way they were brought up? Probably their own father was never coming to school for visiting days, was never getting involved in the open days, was never there. So they were brought up when they had that kind of a negative model, so to speak, and that's the reason they have not learned how to do what they are supposed to do.
Some leaders are born, but we also know that leaders are mentored. People actually grow into leaders.
Leaders are born, effective leaders are trained, they are made.
Exactly. Effective leaders are made. They are trained. The person whom you grow up with, the person who supervises you, the person who works with you, who walks a journey with you, actually changes a lot in you. And you can't give what you don't have. So there are men who are really, they are not doing their work properly. They are not. Just not because they really intend that, you know, but they are stuck. They have no idea.
Yeah.
I can tell you without any fear of contradiction that my first two children did not benefit as much as my last two children. I am very sure I was better for the last ones. I was better.
You had gotten some experience.
I was better. Well, the first two, I got them when I was still spending a lot of time in the bar.
In the bar?
Yes.
I repeated it so that the
Yes,
viewers don't think you
yes,
said in the bank.
In the bar, drinking.
Yes.
In the bar. I would actually come and I would park a motorcycle. That time I used to ride a motorcycle. Later on I was even driving, and I would park and go. And I would come back when they have slept. So they didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
But the last born, the one I have right now, the one who is doing civil engineering, I lived with him in Rukunjiri when I was a DEO.
District
When he was 3
Education
years.
Officer.
When he was 3 years. And mom was in Kisoro.
Yeah.
And I told her, I can't go alone. I'm going with this boy. The reason I wanted to have somebody at home who would force me to be at home so that I have company. So I ate with him breakfast, with him lunch. I took him to the nursery school. I picked him from there, and I checked him. I checked the way he was dressed. I made sure that his books were organized. I checked his work. I made sure that he ate, and mom was in Kisoro. I would even get on the earliest bus and come and do work in Kampala here and go back to Rukunjiri. I would never sleep in Kampala because of Asa.
And that makes me quite curious.
Yes.
I want to really know where this came from. And let's take some step backwards. When you try to remember your life with your own dad, what was your personal experience with the involvement of your father in your journey of education? Was he a man who was very involved in your journey or not? Tell us briefly about that.
My father, Sam, I am I am the only one who actually went to school amongst all my family members. So my father never went to, my father didn't know that the blackboard is black. My mother didn't know that the blackboard is black. So I studied by accident.
By God incident.
By God's. So I went to school, and every time I would come, I would tell Daddy, I am the first. He would ask me, what is your position? I am number one. And the old man would be, oh, okay. And he was not a poor man, by the way. My father was not a poor man, because when I grew up,
financially speaking,
there were more than 50 cows in our compound. But my brothers were looking after the cows. Yeah. Everybody else, the life was around there. So there was nothing quite different from our home, with some of the most, the nomadic homes, like in some of our communities.
I hear you. So you did not grow up in an environment where your dad was actually actively involved in your education.
But my father asked for how much money are you going to take at the beginning of term? First of all, he asked me for my position.
And you said I'm the first.
And I would tell him I'm the first.
And then he said, so which position is that?
Secondly, my father would actually come whenever they would give me a letter to him, inviting them for a meeting. Yes. He would actually come.
Okay.
He would come. And one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to me was when I was called. My father was in the gathering, and I didn't know. He was in the gathering, and I did not know that he had actually come. Yeah. So here we were, and we were playing. Children play.
Yeah, of course.
And it's a good thing for children to play.
Yeah, children do three major things. Children play, children eat, and children sleep.
Time came for giving awards, best performers. So I had 2 awards. One was I was the best in class that
academically.
But 2, on that day, which was Parents' Day, end of term, I made a recitation, and it was the best. And they wanted to give me a gift for that. So there was a shilling. That was 1971. Yeah, there was a shilling and a glass.
That was big. I think a shilling of 1971.
One shilling
would be
coin
like
and a glass.
30,000 shillings.
They called me, and I didn't know. I heard everybody, Terero.
Calling your name.
So I said, these guys are going to beat me now. And I took off.
You ran away?
I went
when
home.
They were calling you to be given a gift?
I went home.
Now, we have to pause there, because where this is going. John, why should a man therefore put his heart into getting involved in the educational affairs of his children? Are there any benefits to this, either to the man or to the children themselves, or both, whether in the short term or in the long term, why should a man get involved in the journey of his children's education?
You can imagine, if I can end my story, my father picked the shilling and the glass. And he came and sat me down and said, you missed an opportunity of shining. And he ran away. So from that day, I said, I will not disappoint my father again.
Yeah.
And I was there, and I went and started working hard to make sure that my father will not be disappointed again. So you see, I knew my father would come. So by knowing that my father would come, I knew that time for gifts would come, and I want to have a gift when my father is there.
Yeah.
I wanted him to have that pride. That's one. Get involved in the life of your child.
So when you get involved in the life of your child gets motivated
Your
to
child
excel.
gets motivated. Your
Yes.
child gets that feeling that, oh, daddy will come to check. Daddy will check with my teacher. Daddy will ask my teacher what is happening around me.
Yes.
So in other words, you have a check. You see, we have children, we have a child, and let's look at this child as food in the pot. And you have this cooking pot, and the cooking pot is on 3 stones. There's one stone is for the parents, the other stone is for teachers, and then you have, you have the government system, and those are 3. So if one of them falls off,
School, home, and government.
exactly. So it is school, home, and government. So if one of the stones collapses, then the pot will,
Somersault.
it will somersault. And when it somersaults, it will break. When it breaks, the food will go. So a parent needs to be there. A parent is the first teacher. My dear listeners and viewers, if you wait for teachers to teach your children and to promote, if you leave education of the children to your teachers alone, just wait for disappointment. You'll be disappointed.
Because the parent is the first teacher.
Because the parent is the first teacher. And you teach a person from what they know to what they don't know. So it's very important that you actually try to find out, what can my child know? My father would ask me, can you write a letter? I say, yeah, I can write a letter. Can I now write so and so a letter? And then he would tell me, and I would write a letter. So at a certain time, my father knew that I was able to write a letter.
Yeah.
Later on, I started, by the way, Sam, when my father died.
How old were you then?
I was a graduate teacher.
Okay.
I found all my reports from P1, from 1971. He was still keeping them up to 1995 when he died. I found them in his box.
I am challenged about that.
I found them, and I don't have reports for my children.
Yes.
Me, I don't have them.
That's why I'm saying I'm
I
challenged
don't
about
have
that.
them. My father had them.
Yeah.
He was not an educationist, but somehow he had to keep my reports. I found our birth certificates, they were there. I found all
Record keeping.
All those things were there, and they were there. So, do we actually look at that report? Because that report is actually the child. That is the best the child has brought up. So at what time do we actually interact with these children and appreciate that, oh my God, my child is excellent. That girl got an A in math.
Your daughter.
That one. And I was saying,
the viewers don't know that your daughter is in studio right now.
Yeah, so she got an A in math, and I said, oh my God, and I was there, oh my God, you got an A in math. Why would somebody get surprised at that time?
Yeah.
So you really need to have known that, look here, this child is actually strong in this area, strong in this area, strong in this area, strong in this area, and then they are also, now you encourage them where they are strong, and you also support them where they are weak.
Okay.
You go to the teacher and you talk to them. But now the question is, when do you do that? When do you do that?
Now, I am hearing 3 very important benefits why every man should get involved in the educational journey of the children. Number 1, because the child will be motivated to excel.
Yes.
You have explained it very well. Number 2, it will enhance their learning. They will want to even do much better. They will learn better. And number 3, it actually protects history. See how your dad kept the records, because he was involved. So it protects history, it protects records, to mention but a few. And now, you have already talked about like dad coming to school for the Parents' Day. That's one way how a man can get involved. The other way that is quite common is paying school fees. That is getting involved in the education journey of the child. But also one that is very common nowadays, especially those who have relatively younger children, is participating in helping them do their homework. I hear that a lot. Now, besides those basic ones, could there be, what are some of the other specific actions that probably you yourself experientially participated in order to be involved in your children's journey of education? What are practical specific actions besides paying school fees, participating in homework, and going for Parents' Day? Any other specific action?
Sam, my second born. My second born got challenges in S4. That's why I told you that my firstborn and secondborn actually did not benefit as much as the
last ones.
And he was sent away from school in second term. Sam, I studied with that boy. I would wake up at 4 a.m. and read with my son. I would go to Makobora High School and get assignments from teachers. And we would do the assignments together. Up to 6:37 when I would prepare to go to office.
Yes.
I'd come back in time in the evening and we would look at the work. So I would even invite a teacher to come and coach both of us.
And now that you talk about the teacher coming,
with him,
that actually removes something that was in my mind as you were talking. I was about to say it's because for you were educated yourself, you could go through all those things and get to know them, but there is that man watching who is not as educated as you were. Now when you tell him to work on the mathematics of integration du dx with the child, when he is struggling to calculate 1 + 1.
And I didn't manage that mathematics, because I'm not a good mathematician. So we did pass sciences, but we passed the word.
So at least when you say maybe brought in the teacher to coach, that
so
now
exactly
allays the fears.
So now you wanted me actually to tell you there are some things that we are able to do which we are not doing.
Yes.
Like? So friends, you can find time to sit with your child. And there's plenty of time. I'm giving you that testimony. That maybe if I had not sacrificed that kind of time, I would have lost that boy at that point.
Indeed.
And then we would even have time to sit down and now talk about the real things. Why are we going through all this? When we are having, why are we going through all this? Why are we not performing as well? What has happened? Now, one of the other things really we need to look at, is what are the abilities? What kind of abilities do our children have? So how are you going to discover that they are actually able to, they are better scientists than artists. They can do fine art very well. They can do sports better than mathematics. They can do music. And they would actually excel in music. How do you actually know that they have got very good leadership skills? How do you actually know that your child is a very social person and can be a very good leader, can be a very good team leader? How do you know, where do you know that your child is actually not very good academically, but is excellent practically?
In co-curricular, extracurricular.
In co-curricular. You see, because many times men, we pay fees and we say, I have paid fees, they are teaching, and the mother will check, the mother will visit, there's fuel in the car, they can go, I have even given money for shopping. Yes. And that's all. And then we miss an opportunity of identifying what is good about our children, where our children are struggling, where our children, which challenges
the habits they are developing of late.
The habits they are developing. By the time you discover that your child has developed a habit and it is already hard, it's too late. It's very difficult. Yeah. You want to come and correct it, but you don't have that history of a relationship. You don't have that history of a relationship. Yeah. You don't even know the teacher. And the teacher can, because let me ask Sam, how many people who are listening or are watching us, they have children at school and they have telephone contacts of their teachers? And the teacher can actually pick a phone and say, hi. Huh? So you really need to.
You're talking of having telephone contacts of the teachers. First of all, ask whether they know the teachers.
Do they know the teachers? Do they know? So how do you actually, you are there and you don't know the person who is in charge of your child. 5 days in a week. You just say, go.
9 months in a year.
9 months in a year. And so those ones do not require you to have gone to school to be an educationist. No. But knowing, some people send their children. You just send your child. You hear a child is in a school which is not licensed. It is not. Girls they are sleeping in one room here. Boys are sleeping in the next room.
And they share the bathroom.
They share the bathroom. And you are a parent and you are paying fees. Does that require anybody to have gone to school to understand that really the place where my child is going is not the right place? Huh?
But you see that place, the fees is low, and that's why the child is going there.
Sometimes it is not. Sometimes it is actually
what we
not.
call cheap is very expensive in the long
what
run.
you call cheap is very expensive in the long run. So you end up, saying, oh, you can go. A child says, Daddy, I cannot go to this school again. But which school do you want to go to? And the child walks and says, I won't go to that school again. But where do you actually want to go? So I really expect that a parent should have a hand in the choice of the school where the child goes. And should actually know that school. And should go to that school. And should know the head teacher of that school. Should speak to the class teacher of that school. Or even the dormitory, the person in charge of the dormitory where the child is. Should even know the dormitory. Does this school have even bathrooms for the girls? Does it have a place where the children can pray from? Do they have prayers? Do they have a chapel? Where are you sending your child? Who is going to be in charge of your child?
The teacher.
The teacher. Who is that teacher? Is that teacher even trained? Did you see teachers beating somebody in Itungamo?
Yes.
Did you see that video?
Yeah.
You are actually sending your child to wolves.
Actually, I also saw a head teacher who was beating the teachers in the Midwest. I even wrote, I quickly put it on Facebook, I said some people are supposed to be kickboxers, they are hiding in education.
Exactly. So you have people who are supposed to be mechanics, they are supposed to be using hammers to break iron, they are supposed to be in workshops using hammers to fix nails, and they are using hammers to beat children. They are in the wrong places.
Yeah.
So there are simple things. A child has come from school. You just need some time and say, hey, welcome back from school. So you really want to find out if they have brought a report. You want to find out if they have brought a circular. You want to find out when they are going back to school. You want to find out if there are any school needs that you have not paid attention to. You even want to find out whether you have debts because you know. So that is really, and it doesn't require a lot of time.
Indeed, it just requires commitment.
You are looking at the report, you might not even be able to read, but you really want to find out exactly whether there is an accountability for the money you have been paying.
Yeah.
Whether somebody has been studying. But somebody comes and says, Daddy, I have been at school. Where is the report? I'll go back for it. When?
At the beginning of next term.
At the beginning of next term. Sure, is that true? Okay, let me go to town and look for money. But you're going to look for money to start paying fees for somebody who did not bring a report.
And the next time he says, before I go to school, I also need some 70,000 on top of school fees. And you say, for what? Because he knows you don't pay attention. He says for photosynthesis and a kilo of chlorophyll. So you end up being fleeced because you really don't pay attention. Now, I'm hearing very key, simple but powerful action points you've actually given. Yes. And I was taking note here. Things that men can actually do in order to be meaningfully involved in the education journey of their children. Paying school fees, participating in homework, attending parents' days, seeking external help to coach the children, identifying the children's abilities, talents, skills, being part of choosing the school where they will go to, getting to know their teachers and the amenities, the things in school, checking their reports, reading their circulars from school, paying attention to the school needs and requirements. All of these are ways how a man can get involved in the education journey of the child.
Perfect, Sam. You are spot on.
Yeah, and now there are those that are genuinely, underline that word, capital letters, bold and red, genuinely busy. How can you help them to strike a balance? What are some of the practical strategies a genuinely busy man can use in order to balance his work duties and involvement in the education journey of his children? He's genuinely busy. He has a lot of work. He works at Save the Children. He is the human resource, probably, and they are moving all over the place, recruiting, hiring, appraising. He's genuinely busy. But he also wants to be involved in the life of the children and their education. How can they balance these things?
Busy doing what?
The work, that they were hired to do.
Working at Save the Children.
That's what you're talking about.
That's the bigger reason why you should come to Save the Children.
At home.
At home. So you actually begin with saving the children at home. The question is, you are busy, you are a teacher, and you are teaching other people's children. Who is actually teaching yours?
The TV and the housemaid,
Well, that's a topic for another day.
Indeed.
That's a topic for another day. So you are busy in hospital. You are treating people, and you're working very hard so that people can recover from diseases. But your own children are at home, and you don't know who is infecting them, what is infecting them, what they are eating, what is happening.
You could even be a pediatrician in that hospital.
You could even be a pediatrician.
You're treating other people's children. Yours are collapsing at home.
You could be a businessman. You could even be a farmer.
Yeah.
But let's look at a farmer who actually keeps chicken. You keep chicken. So at the end of the day, what would be the interest of this person who is keeping chicken and is selling eggs? What is the interest of this person? I want to believe that you are going to find out whether the hens have actually laid the 10 trays. Let's say, are they 10 trays? Are they 10? If they are 8, so is there a farmer who keeps chicken and does not check how many trays they have collected that day? Is there a farmer who keeps dairy cows and they don't check how many liters of milk they have that day? Is there a farmer who does not even check how much of the feeds have been used that particular day? What about a business person in Chikubo or elsewhere in another shop? Is there a business person who closes the drawer and just goes away and does not count the proceeds of that day? So why would you find time to check whether the hens have laid, and you can't find time to check whether the children have actually come home?
Whether they have studied.
Whether they have studied.
Whether they are doing anything in their books.
So what is our priority? What are we prioritizing? The question you're asking me is very hard. So it's a question of making hard choices.
Yeah.
If you choose to make money, then you make money. Forget about children.
And if you prioritize children, forget about money, can't I do both?
No, you can't do both. You can't do both.
And that's why we are asking, how can one create that balance?
So let me tell you there are people who even work and they forget to go to eat and they end up having ulcers. There are officers who sit in the office from 7 to 7.
And beyond, to 10 p.m.
And beyond.
Yeah.
But it takes that level of discipline to know that it is time for me to go for lunch. It's time to go home. It's time, because you really have to know that today I will do this and finish it. Because you're not going to finish all the work.
And in
you're
fact,
not going to get all the money in this world.
And in fact, in 14 minutes, it will be time to go home. I'm also being conscious about it.
So you are going to find time.
Find time.
We cannot say you are going to have work-life balance. No, balance might be difficult,
Integration is
but
the
there
thing.
has to be integration. So you have a wife, you have a husband, you have a family, and being a family person is also a job for a man. You know that better than me. As a president, Fathers Union in this country, and for Church of Uganda, you know that very well. That being a father is a full-time job.
It is. And you don't delegate it.
You don't delegate it.
You don't postpone it.
You don't postpone it.
You are always full-time.
It's a full-time job. Parenting is a full-time job. You make an error, it will be very irreversible. You will find yourself editing a PDF document. And to edit
Using a
PDF,
pencil.
To edit a PDF using a pencil is extremely hard.
Almost impossible.
It is almost impossible. You will want to change it into Word. The tables will be disorganized. The pictures will be disorganized. The pages will be disorganized. By the time you get out the correct document, you will have suffered.
I am hearing four things. If one is to strike that balance between their work, duties, and involvement in their children's education journey, one, they must first prioritize saving their own children. We can't be busy doing work out there when our children are dying. So priority. Number two, we need to plan for each responsibility. That's what I'm hearing in this conversation. If you have the human resource work, you have the project management work, plan for its time, and then also plan for the time for your children. I'm also hearing the issue of making hard choices.
Yeah.
That you have to make some tough decisions here and there to strike this balance. And finally, you're saying it shouldn't actually be a focus on balance, but a focus on good integration.
Yes.
Just knowing to know when to do what and how the two go together.
You see, Sam, my child might be in a boarding school.
Yeah.
But only say boarding school where you have a child staying for 90 days, 3 months. You mean I cannot find one day to go and spend that day with the child? I can be busy for 90 days and I don't find even one day to go and sit with my child and ask them, how are you? How are you feeling? What about the school? And move from one teacher to another and listen to what is happening and share something with them and spend those 3-4 hours with the child? No. What about if this child is a day scholar and they are going to school? And you wake up very early in the morning. You mean you cannot share something with the child as you are in the car going, or you are holding their arm or sitting on a border?
Yeah.
You mean you cannot say, teacher, we have come this morning and we are now late. We are very, very sorry. And you just leave your child and the teacher remains behind beating the child because the child is late. You are not, and you are the one who laid the child. So these are the points really. We need to make hard choices, and it is very costly. It's very costly.
But rewarding, like you
But
said at the start.
Children have to come first.
After their mothers.
Now the Fathers Union. After their mothers, yes. The children have really to come. In our business, they have to be a very important business for us.
Absolutely.
And just passing by and say, oh, let me check how this child is doing. You're just passing by. And you're saying, hi, I wanted to see if you are fine. And that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's fine. If you are able to do that. Unfortunately, by the way, there are parents who are even able. They really have that ability. They have the means.
Yes.
But they are not available for the children.
Yeah.
And that is what is sad. Maybe also what we should say, Sam, it's also good that it is me, if I'm speaking to my children, they need to understand who I am, what our family is, and then they really appreciate that daddy can afford this,
Yes.
daddy cannot afford this, and it's me who will really take the lead to help them appreciate the environment, the situation.
That is if you're
in which
transparent
we are.
and you share with your family. Because how will they
But
know?
you see, if I am not going to share with them, they'll come and ask for things that I cannot afford.
Yes.
And then I will start struggling, and then they will be in trouble.
You'll start asking questions like, do you think money is gotten from a tree like a fruit? Do I have a garden where I pick dollars?
Go and ask your mother.
Go and ask your
Go
mom.
and ask. Stop disturbing
Now,
me.
John, these things we are talking about, by the way, I asked my children this very question before I came here, just a few minutes ago. I asked them, I said, what are some of the things that a father needs to do if we are going to say he is involved in his children's education?
I want to hear that.
And to cut the long story short, one of the points that my daughter gave, she said, looking for a good school where the children will have quality education.
Yes.
And I appreciated that.
Yes.
And you know, she went on and
Really, that was a
reminded
brilliant
me
answer.
of a situation that my wife and I went through. When our daughter is now in grade 8, she's 14 years. When she was transitioning from nursery school to primary school, there was a gap of 1 year when she stayed at home. And she stayed at home not because we didn't have school fees, we had the money, but it was intentional. And the reason why it was intentional was because we felt genuinely that we hadn't yet found the right school to take this child to for primary school. And we got all these kinds of comments from the people around us, whatever they thought we were arrogant and whatever. There are so many schools around, what are you saying? And finally we got the school that we felt was standing for the values we stand for as a family, where we felt our children would learn the right things. Now she is in grade 8 and we are satisfied with what we are getting. So when I had this conversation with my daughter and my son a few minutes ago before we came, she reminded me of that 1 year. She said, even if I had that 1 year when I didn't go to school, but finally you took me to a good school. Something comes to mind as I talk about this, that some men are actually not giving attention to these things and this conversation and getting involved in the education of their children because of what I can call misconceptions, because of what I can call stereotypes about a father's role in his children's education, things I can call societal biases and pressures. For example, one time a neighboring lady asked me, she said, Tata Petra, why I saw you washing plates. Why do you wash plates? And I said, what do you mean? I use them at home. So all of us, whoever uses the things, we participate in making them clean. And I said, no, I would never allow Tata. Then she said the name of
the husband.
I would never allow him to get into the kitchen and wash things. And I later got to know that it was culture. It was a cultural construct where she was coming from. Men are not allowed to be in the kitchen or wash utensils. So could it be that some men are not involved in the education journey of their children because of some societal prejudices, biases, misconceptions, and pressures like those?
One time I went home. Actually, the first time we went home to the village when we had our firstborn, she was about 6 months, and there I was in the morning, and I was holding the baby, very beautiful baby. And my father looked at me and said, hey, so you have become a babysitter for your wife.
Hello? You see what I'm telling you? I don't know how you behaved after that, whether you remained comfortable doing that.
So you when you put that baby down, you are going to wash plates, eh? Mm-hmm. And and then he was saying, you are not going to be a man.
They say you are bewitched.
You are not becoming a man. Exactly. So I said, but Daddy, this is my daughter. Huh? This is my daughter, and I love her. It's fine. He said,
something is not right.
I have been seeing you.
Been monitoring. You are not a manly man.
That's not how men behave. Mm-hmm. So that's now one construct.
I don't know, how can we help such men who are struggling under such? Because the pressure is real, John.
And so I tried to convince my father that, Mzee, it's fine,
yes.
It is okay. He was not convinced, but I made sure that I did not drop, the idea. So there is that construction that men are not meant to do things like nurturing.
Which is unfortunate.
They are not. So that construct, they don't even expect that you can leave children with men,
and they are okay.
and they're okay.
Hey, that a man can't change a diaper.
My friend, I mean, it is. I shared with you how I stayed with my. It was 3 years.
Yes.
And I mean, 3 years. Some of the babies, some of the children have not even learned how to use the toilet properly.
Of course.
But that's fine. It is okay for a man. This is our, So that's
Would it
one
be
of
going
the-
back to what you called making hard choices? That man who is being told those things, he needs to make hard choices, tough decisions to keep a deaf ear to those kinds of biases and still look after his children and get involved
Exactly.
in their education.
Then the other one is that men, and this one is created by our mothers. The mothers they tell children, "I'll tell daddy."
I will tell daddy when he comes.
I'll tell daddy when he comes,
And daddy will beat you.
and daddy will beat you.
Instead of her being the one to do it there and then.
So at the end of the day, you have a man being perceived as the disciplinarian,
The policeman,
the policeman.
Bin Laden,
So you have been
domestic Joseph Kone.
Hey, you come home and everybody he's coming to punish. He'll punish. Mommy will tell him.
The
And
rebel has
everybody
come.
is like, Instead of children saying, "Oh, daddy has come, daddy has come, daddy,"
Yes, and embrace you.
Now telling you the story about the school doing what, but you have been, what has been constructed around you is that you are the disciplinarian, and when they see you, they start thinking, "What did I do? What am I going to be punished for now? What is mommy going to report? What is my sister going to report?" And that is definitely something we need to deal with.
So our wives should also work collaboratively
Exactly.
with us in getting involved in
and
the
so
education
we need to
journey.
sharpen each other.
All right.
Sharpening each
2
other.
minutes.
The last one.
2 minutes to the end of the program, John.
The last construct is that the man is the provider. Provide. Give the fees, give the pocket money. Ask a driver to drop the
So
child
your
to school.
work, they think the work is done
Build
as
the
long as
house.
you've provided.
Buy TV, they can't even see.
And leave them watching cartoons and for you go to watch your
and you go
soccer.
Go and make money.
Eh,
I am going to hustle. You study if you want, leave.
yes.
And that is very dangerous. So that's another construct that actually the mother can be the provider at a certain time. You may be bringing 10% and she's bringing 90.
Yeah.
That does not make you less of a dad.
So provision should not only be about the finances.
It should not be about
Last year, I brought out this book as we come to the close of the program, Courageous Dads, the 7 proven strategies for raising resilient children today. And on page 39, I said that there are 30 good things every dad should provide. In other words, don't just look at one thing, money. For example, give them quality time and quantity time. Number 2, give them a listening ear, not just a talking mouth. Number 3, give them sound advice. Number 4, give them consistent discipline. Number 5, give them some freedom. Number 6, give them necessary boundaries. Number 7, give them formal education. Number 8, physical gifts. Number 9, a firm eye contact. Number 10, warm hugs. Number 11, a genuine smile. Number 12, authentic affirmation. Number 13, financial intelligence. Number 14, values. Number 15, encouragement. Number 16, exciting stories. Number 17, unconditional forgiveness. Number 18, opportunities for risk. Holistic skills, respect, continuous prayer, intentional blessings, a good name, a loved mother, a model to emulate. There is so much that a man should provide, not just money. Your parting shots as we end the program, John.
Our children are a generous gift from God. And so you don't handle a very generous gift from the King of Kings, from our Father in heaven. And you don't handle them with care. We need really to find time for this gift. It is, the Bible says somewhere that God's glory will be seen in our children. And that's the promise we have. So it's very important that we actually find time for these children, because missing out on finding time for the children means that you don't create a relationship, you don't have quality time, you don't know what they know, you don't know what they like, you don't even help them to be what they should become. You don't even lose an opportunity of becoming their role model, and you don't provide leadership. And so it's important. It's a hard choice, and it's a full-time job. We need to settle, not just as parents, as dads, but also remember that we are the first teachers.
All right. Thank you very much. Indeed, we are the first Teachers. You have heard all these things that we have shared today, talking about a man's involvement in the education of his children. We've realized that a number of men are involved in the education of their children, but many others are not. Maybe for financial constraints, being busy, not appreciating their leadership role, poor upbringing, and so on and so forth. But we've realized it's important to be involved because of the many benefits it comes with. Things like the children being motivated to excel, enhancing their learning, protecting history, and building a good relationship with your child. And now we know that we need to go and get involved. Pay the school fees, be part of the homework assignments, attend the parents' day. If there are some things you're not able to help your child in, you seek for external help, maybe from a teacher, maybe from a neighbor. Identify your children's abilities, the gifts, the talents, the skills that they have, different capacities.
Don't ask them to swim
Know
when
their
they can only
teachers.
fly.
Know the teachers, the people that speak into the life of your children. Check their reports, and when a circular comes from home, as a man, read through it, get to know what the school is communicating to you. Pay attention to the needs and the requirements that the school is communicating, and like my daughter said, make sure you take them to a good school where they will get quality education. If you want your children to be in your life tomorrow, you better be in their life today. It's not just about giving them presents, it's about giving them presence. After all, what matters most is not what you live for them, but what you live in them. Until next time, this has been the Inspired Family Leader Program with Samuel A. Bakutana, together with my brother John Teleraho. Live exemplarily, love authentically, and lead relationally.
Just one wife. That you need the leadership skills of a general.
Yes.
To lead an army of one woman.
So we have to take a lot of pain, a lot of effort.